The first two types of related terms that we're going to talk about are use and used for references. A term that has the word use in front of it is a reference from a non-preferred term to the preferred or authorized term. This means that you're being directed from a subject heading that you shouldn't use. It's not an authorized subject heading, and you're being directed to the authorized form. So if you looked up the term language assessment, for example, in the print version of the Library of Congress subject headings, you would see that it tells you to use language and languages ability testing instead. Now, used for references are abbreviated UF. You'll see that abbreviation appear in authority records, whereas the word use is spelled out. Used for is abbreviated UF. And used for terms, or used for references, are terms that are not authorized terms. They're non-preferred terms that are related to the term that you're looking up. So in this example, if you looked up command of troops, you'll see that it appears in bold, which means that it is an authorized heading. And used for references, leadership, military, military leadership, and troops, command of, are all things that are not preferred terms for this concept. One thing to remember about use and used for references is that there's a reciprocal relationship there. They're kind of the opposite of each other. So if you look up one term and it has a use reference for a second term, if that's the case, then if you look up that second term, there'll be a used for reference for the first term. So in this case, if you look up bikes, it tells you to use bicycles. And there's a reciprocal relationship where if you looked up bicycles, it would tell you that this term is in fact used for bikes. Now in the online version of the authority records, there aren't separate records for non-preferred terms. They're just referenced from the records for the preferred terms. So if you look up either a preferred term or a non-preferred term, you'll just get the same record, but they'll be labeled differently. So the preferred term will have the word heading in front of it. So for example, we're looking at the heading for language and languages ability testing. And the non-preferred term will show up with a used for / see from heading in front of it. So in this case, if you looked up language assessment, you would get this record, but you would know from the fact that it doesn't have heading next to it that it's not your authorized heading, and language and languages ability testing is your authorized heading. Now if you're looking at the MARC form of the online records, the authorized heading, the preferred term, will appear in the 150 field, and the non-preferred term will appear in the 450 field. So from looking at this, you can tell that language assessment is in the 450 field, so it's not the preferred term. Whereas language and languages ability testing appears in the 150 field, so this means that this is the preferred term in this authority record.